Good evening, everybody.
I just found the keys to a city. The beats are big and the lights are pretty. So why can't we go to the busy where the dreams are in the sky?
And that's There You Are by Pogo. And yes, here we are. This is Lost Mannerisms. I'm your host, Forrest.
And I'm Al.
And we have an interesting show today. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
We do, actually. We've got a lot of good content for once.
Yeah.
It's almost like we did our homework.
Except we're going to be pouring sweat this entire show.
Yeah, it's got to be, 95 in here?
I think
easily,
it's hotter.
100.
I think it's way hotter. I am going to keep this shirt tucked into the front of my shirt for a reference we'll be making later, but
All right, let's get into it, though. What's our drink of the week this week, Forrest? What are you drinking there?
I'm having a Manhattan.
Yeah, in a mug.
In a mug.
Interesting. I'm having it in this nice little... Actually, this is a Knob Creek glass.
Well, that's fitting at least.
Yeah, well, we're not using Knob Creek.
I just heard that this mug enhances beverage flavor and aroma, if you believe that sort of stuff.
I do. Not with that mug, though.
They say it does. That's part of their advertisement, so unless we go sue them for false advertisement, I think we're going to have to say it tastes better.
Well...
What's in it?
Well, now that you asked, rye or bourbon. You can use bourbon or rye. This one's rye, vermouth, sweet vermouth, and bitters.
Nice.
Mix it, shake it in ice, and pour it into a glass. I like mine up in cocktail glasses, but if I had a choice, I'd drink everything in a cocktail glass.
I like them in a lowball glass.
I like this glass, actually. Speaking of lowball glasses, I really like this glass.
I love that glass. I stole that from my roommate.
Really?
Kind of. He asked me to get a bottle of Knob Creek, and the only thing they had there was...
Oh, was the gift pack?
Was the gift pack. So I was like, here's your Knob Creek.
That was a good choice. I
hopefully he doesn't watch
Knob
this
Creek.
episode, and if he does, hopefully he doesn't get pissed at me. But...
I'm a fan of Knob Creek in general anyway, so...
All right.
Yeah, on to the news. Now that
On to
we've
the
gone
news.
off track there a little bit.
Do we want to go in order?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So we realized last time that we did not talk about why the news we chose is relevant to the show.
Yeah, we've really been leaving that out.
I kind of tucked that in the description of the video, but
We've got some manly news.
we have manly news this time. And we're going to talk about protests.
Yeah,
Because protesting, arguably a manly thing.
yeah.
Resisting the man, sticking it to the man, all of those.
That is very manly.
That is very manly. We're going to talk about Randy Moss.
Yeah? Okay, well,
What happened to Randy Moss on Saturday?
I'll let you take the lead on this
No.
one.
What? I'm going to get into the meat of it, but what happened to Randy Moss?
He wore a tie with...
That's what he did. What happened to him?
What happened to him? I have
Yeah.
no idea what happened to him.
Well, he
I
was
just know what he
inducted into
did.
the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to get to that. He wore the tie to the Hall of Fame.
Right, so he was inducted to the Hall of Fame, and he said, I'm not here voicing. That was his big quote, because he wanted to make a statement.
Well, what was his statement? We're going to head
His statement, his statement was he wore a tie with the names of victims of police shootings.
Yeah.
Black victims of police
specifically
shootings.
black victims. Yeah.
And I am just pouring sweat.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting kind of sweaty, too. That's okay.
So the black victims of
police shootings.
police shootings, and I don't know who the names were, so we have no comment
Yeah.
on who.
But,
I think police are good most of the time. There have been instances of them unjustifiably shooting people.
yeah, I agree.
but
I think that's
so
a discussion
can't-
on whole for another week.
right.
which
So
will
we
probably
can't
talk
say
about,
with
but-
this group if he was right or wrong.
But I liked what he did. And I thought
yeah.
he had a good... His explanation of it was
Yeah,
good.
it's a big platform.
Yeah.
He wanted to let the families know that they weren't
Yeah,
alone.
that they had support and that they... Yeah. And I
So-
like that. I thought that was a good way to... A good respectful way to kind of let
Yeah.
his opinion be known.
Yeah,
I appreciated that.
that's a good way to protest.
Yeah.
None of that burning down random businesses to protest.
Well, speaking of protesting, so I said we were going to go in order, but I think we should go a little out of order because then there's You're really happy about Kurt Russell saying that we're getting a little bit too sensitive.
I just like the idea of picturing Kurt Russell.
Same
Because Kurt
here.
Russell's a great, an actor who's well known, but he's got, a really sharp, rugged voice.
Yeah.
And he's just I want to picture him saying, I think we're getting a little too sensitive here. So, since we've already talked about rape before.
Yeah. This is about the Guardians of the Galaxy director. He directed
Yes.
the first two Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn.
Yes.
He just got fired. Well, a couple weeks ago, he was
Yeah.
fired for some old tweets that were in poor taste, I think you could say.
They were in poor taste. They were about rape and pedophilia. And since I don't have any good, maybe we could throw the Roblox image back in here again. But
It's been a sensitive time for that. I mean, it's never those never they were
Right.
always in bad taste, but it's been especially sensitive. A lot of people coming forward talking about abuse in Hollywood and stuff, especially. So these old tweets got dug up of his. And,
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years old, and they fired him. And if nothing else, I think there should be a lesson about why, if you are in the public eye or a professional of any capacity, just get off social media.
yeah,
Because on one hand, man, those were 10 years old, and he lost his job over that and
I
stuff.
think- I think if he got fired when those were tweeted, it'd be a different story. But I kind of agree with Kurt Russell saying, I think we're getting a little too sensitive around
Yeah,
here."
but with the internet now, it doesn't matter if you said something 10 days ago or 10 years ago. It's out there, and it's
Yeah.
got your name attached to it. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think we are getting maybe a little too sensitive, but don't
I have an idea.
make jokes about rape and pedophilia online with your name attached to it, and then expect there not to be
Any blowback, yes.
blowback, especially if you're a famous director.
You could say, I know people get worked up about a free speech issue on something like this, which we're all for free speech.
But this isn't free speech because
For
It's a private
the First
company.
Amendment only applies to the government.
right, and he's not, as far as I know, he hasn't been rounded up and thrown in jail.
Right, and technically, the company paying Disney, right?
I think they own Guardians.
Technically,
Yeah.
Disney is exercising their free speech right by firing him.
Yeah, by saying that we don't agree with the things he said and we will no longer employ him. But anyway, that was our serious bit. Well, mostly serious bit of news. The next part, let's do the drunk bison fight.
All right,
This was a good one. I laughed when I heard this.
so there's this man,
A legend. I would say a living legend.
a living legend. I think I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong, but it's Raymond Reinke. He has decided in the past week, 2 weeks, to go touring the great national parks of this country.
And I think we should say it's relevant. He's an older gentleman in his mid-50s.
Yeah,
At least.
yeah.
So not like a 20-something-year-old.
He's been arrested 3 times in his trip.
He's been having
Within
a
a
good
week,
time.
he's been arrested 3 times. He got arrested for drunk and disorderly. Then he got... I don't know if he got arrested.
Well, he was, from what I understand, he was then later on pulled over for something or other, and they noted that he was drunk and non-compliant.
And not wearing a seatbelt.
So they cited him.
So
for
they
that.
cited him, yeah. And then, towards the end of the week, a video surfaced of a man
Well,
doing some...
trying to fight a
trying
bison.
to
I thought he
manly wrestle a
I thought he got
bison.
a swing in at the bison when the bison charged
I think he
him.
threw a punch at it. But so he ran up, there was a bison blocking traffic, and it seemed like he was aggressively trying to shush it off the road. So he was sitting there flailing his arms around.
This might be the first time we actually put a video insert.
I don't know if we're going to be able
I think
to.
so. I think we should cut it in. I think that's going to be some quality.
We'll
footage.
try.
It was a good.
But he
fight.
just he threw a punch in and yeah. Now they found him in a hotel room drunkenly arguing with someone, and then they arrested him. So he was manly trying to engage a bison, buffalo,
It's a
whatever
great
you
story,
want to call
but
it,
he's a little old for
and
that,
got
I think.
arrested 3 times in a week, or at least charged. But
Yeah.
you want to do this one, I know you do.
I do. I'm really excited. So apparently, recently, Steven Seagal has been asked by Putin to improve Russian-American relations because, as you may or may not know, Steven Seagal has a long-standing friendly relationship with Putin.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's weird. This is like the Dennis Rodman thing in North Korea.
Yeah. It's just like that. I just realized my gray shirt is now dark gray.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. You know, you're a manly man doing manly things and getting sweaty.
I'm sitting in a chair talking. It is hot in here.
Oh, but anyway, back to Steven Seagal. I just want to talk about him because I think outside, like, this is not particularly like big news. I feel like he does this all the time. Mm-hmm. He likes to claim that Putin thinks of him as a brother.
Oh.
But he goes back and forth to Russia every once in a while to do these,
they make fun of him for being fat in Russia?
I don't think they do. I think you'd probably get in trouble if you made fun of Steven Seagal. I think it's one of those.
That's
they really roll out the red carpet.
Because free speech and stuff doesn't really
not super popular
exist
on that side of the world. But yeah, so he does these martial arts demonstrations, and we were watching these earlier.
Oh my god!
And
that's why I made the towel reference, because this guy has a massive gut.
He's got a cauldron. He's got it, like, we're talking like out to here.
And he just, the entire time, he has this towel just stuffed in, but right
because
where
he's sweating profusely.
And assuming
now I know we're sitting here sweating as we sit
profusely,
here,
but it's like 100 degrees in here, and Steven Seagal is in Russia, which fended off a German invasion because it was too cold.
And he's just sweating and huffing and puffing. And my favorite is, like, and I want to give him some credit and say, like, maybe when he was younger, he was a little bit more athletic. And, like, I've heard that his martial art of choice is Aikido, and I've heard that he is, at the very least, like, a competent, good practitioner of this martial art, or I was at one time. But now, during his exhibitions, he has a tendency to stand very firmly in one spot and kind of like the good old wax on, wax off.
Oh, jeez.
Karate Kid stuff. And my God, you should see these guys. They go flying.
And I don't know much about Aikido, but to me it looks like half of Aikido is the other person reacting to your movements.
Well, it looks like it's a lot of, like, joint lock, or at least what he does is a lot of, like, joint locks and, like, momentum.
Which look like it's supposed to keep people down, but the other people have to, or it looks like they're trying to always be ahead of the person putting them in a joint lock. But then when Steven Seagal goes and does it to these Russians,
they throw themselves around.
They just, like, I watched Alfred, would you stick your arm out, please? I watched with about this much force.
Oh yeah, dude flipped.
A dude flipped about 2 times in the air and landed 5 feet away.
It was impressive. I mean, it looked cool. I was more impressed that the guy managed to flip himself and make it look as natural as he made it look.
But we watched 3 videos, and Steven Seagal's sparring partner looked like the exact same... What's the Russian derogatory word for, like... the guy who's in the tracksuit. I think it's Gopnik. We're probably going to get in trouble for saying Gopnik, but it looked like this just your stereotypical light-haired Russian guy, and it's the exact with a light beard, and it's the exact same one every time. It's like he's just intimidated.
Honestly, the guy's got a look on his face that says they don't pay him enough for doing this.
Or he's just so intimidated by Steven Seagal's goatee.
It is. You know what? Honestly, I'm shitting on Steven Seagal, but I love his movies.
Oh yeah.
He's got about well, I guess back in the day, maybe in the 70s or 80s, when he was a young, relatively fit man, he had a couple like big, I guess you might call them blockbusters.
He runs like a girl.
When he could run, he ran like a girl.
He runs like a girl, and then he jogs like a very. Not even like a girl, just like as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, a girly man.
He does. He's got. I hate to say this. I hate this. This dude's got a limp wrist. Is that like in poor taste? Can we not say that anymore?
He's got a limp wrist.
But like, I don't even mean that in a derogatory way. He runs and he
has actual limp wrists.
His wrists flop around and it doesn't look comfortable.
No,
It's odd.
Well, and then it starts to look more like he's just trying to avoid his gut with his hands.
And then as you watch his movies, he gets progressively bigger and bigger.
And slower and slower.
And by the early 2000s, he's making these direct to first it was direct to DVD, and now it's like direct to Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
He's still making them, by the way.
Really?
Oh, yeah. These direct to home movies, basically. And he's got the same kind of tight leather jacket on that looks like it's a size too small. So when he zips
looks like
it
it's
up,
like
it's
two sizes too small, or maybe I'm just thinking of that South Park episode.
You're thinking of the South Park
where they're
thing.
making fun.
He covers his gut in it. It's like a full. Honestly, now that I think about it, it must be custom because I don't know how you can have a jacket that covers a gut like that.
He's not like that big anywhere else.
No, he's just got a gut.
Except his gut.
He's got like a classic pot belly. But God, he's got that and the sunglasses.
Would you say it's like a tent for his stomach?
It is. It is like a tent for his stomach.
So speaking about tents, I think we need a break, and we need to get some of the sweat off of us. So we're going to take a quick break, and you're going to get to watch us setting up a tent.
Pitch a tent in the, well, maybe we can find a shady spot.
Yeah, we're gonna go somewhere a little cooler.
Yeah, and then we'll get in the tent.
And then we'll get in the tent.
And probably sweat some even more.
Stick around. We'll see you in a little bit.
Stay like this. Things will get better together. Every storm. Stay like this. Together. Night at the new, but like this. No matter where I stay like this. Things will get better together. Every storm. Stay like this. Together. Night at the new, but like this. No matter where I
All right, welcome to our third official segment of Lost Mannerisms. Got a story to tell?
Got a deep, dark story. There's this thing about being in nature. Brings a man like he's at home. It's just you and nobody else. You can't send a distress call. No one would hear your distress call. It's you, whatever you bring with you, and animals with their dead, beady eyes, dead like a doll. And they look at you.
All right. Well, thank you for that riveting story. It wasn't really a story, but here we are out in nature with a tent and cell phones, I should add, so we could send a distress signal. We're really not. Your neighbors are like over there, about a half mile at the most.
Well, you're not supposed to ruin that. I mean, so this is our third official segment, and
We're gonna be pitching a tent,
we're gonna pitch a tent.
Yeah.
It's just your little basic tent. It's like a
like a Boy Scout, like a.
military style. I got it for that if you go camping by yourself, you have a nice.
It's actually a pretty
dry
light,
tent.
nice little tent. I know I've got a couple tents. I like to go hiking and backpacking and stuff, and they're a little bit on the bigger side. I'm gonna take a guess. I've never seen this up, but I'm gonna guess they're a little roomier and nicer. But not having to carry a lot of weight's really nice. I made that mistake.
It says it's a 2-man tent, but I think.
Well, we're gonna put that to the test.
We're gonna put that to the
We're gonna
test.
put that to the test.
It looks a little small for 2 full-grown men. It's supposed to be long enough, so. Man,
Well,
these
I mean, you're
bugs.
sleeping outside. It's cold. It's scary. It's lonely.
You
You
might
gotta
need to
get
huddle
close. Gotta get close. So, without further ado, we're gonna reset our equipment and start
setting up a tent.
Yeah, great.
We're set up.
All right. Well, let's start talking then. Okay.
So here we are.
So
we got
far,
this tent.
What's the first thing we should do when setting up our tent?
Well, I'd like not to get stabbed in the behind with a big hard stick, so.
So why don't you start clearing out the area, and I'm going to start opening up our tent and get out the instructions, which are very important. Trying to set up a tent without instructions is terrible. It's like trying to wrangle a bunch of cats to do what you want, and it doesn't work. No, oh, this is not an extensive
Oh,
Not extensive
we just-
instructions. Well, it looks like we're doing it without the instructions.
no, I don't know what side of the tent is what here.
Well,
so-
that side looks like the upside.
Yeah.
Wow, this tent's gonna be super easy to put up. You know, I'm really saying this, and this is gonna end up not being super easy at all. But like,
Right.
I'm thinking that it is gonna be super easy. Oh, okay. These
Each
are weird
assembled,
clips.
so assemble the poles. They're 3 pieces.
Oh, this is super easy. Look at that. So I've stuck one pole into the ground.
Both poles are stuck in. There's line provided and tie one end to the pole tip. Then you tie an end here, and I'm going to tie a bowline knot. And at some point soon, we'll get into the rest of the camping stuff like bowline knots, starting campfires. And I'm about ready to get pissed at this and just tie a knot in it.
That's what I was gonna ask. Why was that not our first?
Well, because we're trying to teach the viewers to follow directions.
Yeah, but these are stupid directions.
They are. And as men, we don't follow many directions because this is exactly how this thing says to do it. As you can see, people do struggle with these tents. So now oh. Well, that just happened.
Just tie a knot. Just tie a knot and...
I did, and the whole stake end just came out of the ground.
Jesus. Honestly, I think your way was better.
And now I just tied 2 simple half hitches on the bottom. And now that we're set up, I'm going to drive that stake in. All right, we have achieved tension over here. Alfred, do you want me to tie? Okay, you got
can.
that. All right, so now we take one of these, stick it in the ground. So we got the top of the tent tight. All right.
Okay.
Oh, and then we have to stake the sides.
Yeah, here. Start here. You stake that. I'll stake this.
Why does this thing keep falling over, Alfred?
Oh, man. Oh. Here, you
I bent my tent stake. I can see why there's all these movies about people having hard times with tents. Because now it says we have to tie the sides up with these stakes
Yes.
right to these middle loops, which
Right.
I'm still going to tie a bowline on it because I'm probably never going to take these strings off of the sides again. So
So our tent is up. Viewers,
our tent is up.
are we gonna get inside?
I think we're going to get inside. All right, so now I'm going to get in this tent and see what it's like in here. Oh man, it stinks in here. Did you
Yeah,
fart?
it's no. I think it's just the material.
Oh,
It's pretty gross. It's kind of comfy though. We got a little window. Oh.
got little windows.
Open this from the. I can't seal this from the inside, so that's not great. Not a great feature. I think this
mean,
is a comfortably a 2-person tent. We can cuddle here. Oh, what the fuck did I step in?
Ew.
Oh, that's what smells. Yeah. There you go.
Oh no, they're all on the ground!
Get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball, get the ball, get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball, get the ball, get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball back, get the ball, get the ball, get the ball back, get the ball back.
Farewell and adieu
Stop singing.
to fair Spanish ladies.
Stop singing. This is gonna get covered by audio anyway.
No, it's not.
All right. Well,
We can make it not get covered. And we're back. No comment on that last segment.
yeah.
It was a little too personal. I know some things about you now, Alfred.
I told you we should use my tent. It's bigger.
So, we're going to jump right into the skill of the week, which now that you know how to set up a tent, if you're going camping, you might need.
Oh, was I supposed to respond to that?
You could.
A knife. You
It'd
should
be
have a knife.
It'd be
if you're
nice
going
if
camping.
Yes, you should have a knife if you're going camping.
At least one knife, and a bigger knife than
a bigger
that
knife
little-
than what I have
that
on
little
me, but
code.
definitely a sharp knife.
Yeah, so sharp knife is important. If your knife isn't sharp, it's really just a hammer.
A very
and not a good hammer.
light one at that. So you're not going to get a very good visual on this. We're going to be honest. We're down a
Lots where you're
cameraman.
waving that shit around.
We're down a cameraman. We're
Good thing
down.
it's not sharp.
Oh yeah. Actually, it is sharp. I just touched it up with an electric sharpener the other day.
Well,
So-
anyway, if you don't have an electric sharpener and you're out camping and you've got your knife and you're being an idiot and you get it dull, what do you do to fix that?
So there's a couple different ways, and there's some very specific ways to do it. Like you can put your thumb on it and use that.
Well, we're gonna do like
We're
a whole
just-
segment on knives
Right.
at some point.
We'll do
but-
that. So we're just going to give a quick touch up. So this is my work sharpener. I
Yeah,
keep
just
this,
like a cheap
I keep
diamond
this-
sharpener. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep this in my work truck, and I use it for knives, shovels, pruners, saws. I use this thing a lot. But basically, you want to look at the angle that your knife comes with from the factory, and then you want to match that angle with the knife with the sharpener against the blade.
It helps if you put this on a flat surface. If
This
you've
is-
never
this one
done it
you can't.
before, but
This one you can't because
Yeah.
it just folds. So there are many different types, whatever works for you. But basically, the big idea is you want to match the angle and slide it up, and then move your hand on a slight angle so you get the entire blade. So now you do that a couple times to the one side, and then you'd change over and do the same thing the other way. If you're pointing the knife towards you, be even more careful not to cut yourself than before. Because assumably you're being careful not to cut yourself.
presumably.
Presumably, you'd be careful not to cut yourself. But if you're pulling the knife towards yourself, you want to be even more careful. And you just want to keep the same thing, follow the action, and you do that a couple times, and you just flip it back and forth, doing it both ways a couple times. When you get to the end and you're starting to get the knife a little sharper, you want to go back and forth one side each time. And that'll knock off a little burr that gets on the blade when you're sharpening it from one side. So you always want to go like you're trying to cut the sharpener. You want to match the angle on the knife. And when you get towards the end, you go one for one each way, and you do that a little, and it's
Yeah,
it
I
should
know
be
a really good
significantly.
way to get rid of that. Well, all right, a really good way to get rid of that burr. Okay, you're not going to cut that water bottle. A really good way to get rid of that burr is to take the blade of your knife, take the edge of a piece of cardboard, and slide it down, and then go back and sharpen it a couple more times. And the cardboard's like surprisingly tough, and it'll
cardboard
peel
dulls
off
knives.
that. Yeah,
Cardboard
it'll
dulls knives.
it'll peel off that burr. You can actually also like stroke your knife on cardboard if you've got nothing else.
Really? I've never heard that cardboard trick. I've just always heard if you go back and forth one way each time, and you do that like 5 or 6 times, your bird's gonna be gone. Enough that the knife's sharp. It might not be a shaving razor, but speaking of shaving razors,
Yeah, perfect. Into our next segment, which is our well, we're gonna talk about our product reviews, and then we'll talk about a little news. And this is a new product that you've had.
well, this is a new product that I got a week ago. I got this a little bit for the show, and a little bit for myself. It is the Philips Norelco One Blade.
I like Philips Norelco. I have one of their regular trimmers that I use
don't-
for my beard.
I hate electric razors.
Well,
Trimmers are okay.
I don't like electric razors. Yeah, I don't
Which
use
is-
electric razors, but I've got a trimmer to,
But
for my beard. I'm
this
not gonna
one's
sit here with
kind of
scissors.
nice because it does trimming and it does shaving.
I shaved my hand with it. You're not going to be able to see on camera, but notice one is silky smooth.
I shave my face, and I find it concerning that it's
You
so
missed a spot.
Where?
Like
This
right
big
here.
thing on there?
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
You missed a spot.
I still have a cut there. It still hasn't healed completely.
From when you lost a fight with a
With
vacuum.
a big black hose. Anyway, so as a product, if you're using it to keep up on facial trimming, if you want it short, it doesn't get it skin right to the skin. It leaves a little stubble, which
Sexy stubble.
for people with, you can't see it on most people. So if you have a little bit sensitive skin, and you don't want to cut it down to your face all
Yeah.
the time, it
Yeah,
works
I think
very
it's
well.
acne, razor burn, stuff like that.
Yeah. So you avoid the razor burn. Now, Philip says it's good for any length.
Well, why don't you tell us what actually? I want to ask
So-
you to show us, but I'm not sure if viewers want to see that.
We're okay. Because I messed up and I missed a golden opportunity to shave a penis on my chest.
Yeah.
But I tried this and
For a bit of manscaping.
for a bit of manscaping, I did my chest with it. And I haven't shaved my chest in a while. It was shorter than my hair, but it was there. They say this will cut any length. I'd say that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, did it work eventually?
No.
Ah.
I had to use a real hair trimmer
Trimmer
to
and then
trim it. And then I used this for final touches, which it was okay with.
that's reasonable.
And
I couldn't see that being great for super long hair.
Well, this is their face and body one, and it says any length.
Well,
They claim it'll do any length. And it definitely does like facial hair any length because you move slow and
well, you had a little bit of a rug going on your chest.
I
So
did.
You were pushing it anyway.
I
but
was. But I will say
I think for a maintenance trim, that would probably do.
for a
good
maintenance
job.
trim it works. For your face it works very well.
It was comfortable. I noticed that there wasn't a lot of pulling or tugging. It cut everything
No.
pretty cleanly. It looks like it's pretty easy to keep clean. There's not a
Well,
lot
the
of-
blade is completely replaceable. It's good
That's
for
nice.
wet shaves.
That's good.
You don't have to use shaving cream with it. It's just bang it in, turn it on,
And go for it.
and shove it against your face.
Go to town on your face.
And there's nothing really to trim because I tried to look good for the show. We're gonna have to hand this product to a rugged reviewer.
We are. I'm going to be interested to see how they handle that, especially with the motorcycle helmet and all. But
We can't give it to him today.
No, unfortunately, our rugged reviewer is a little. Well, he drank too much coffee, stayed up for like a week straight.
He drank
and
too much
now
coffee. There's a couple holes in
We
his
haven't,
vest.
we haven't been able to wake him up.
And we think he's hiding in a bunker somewhere in Pennsylvania. So, like the Poconos or something. We're
a little bit too much freedom in that coffee.
a little too much freedom. We only gave him one bag, so we're gonna expect
Hopefully,
to-
it wears off soon.
It'll wear off soon, and we're gonna expect to hear from him next week. We have something kind of big planned.
Yes.
Hopefully, it pans
Right.
out. We have our first
A real interview.
real man-on-man interview, and that's planned out. That was planned for this weekend, but we got hit with a storm, and this person's job is dependent on the weather, so we're hoping we get them next week.
So I actually have a little bit of a product update. We talked about that Hollow Sun
Yeah.
red dot
Does it move?
last time. Interesting update. It is not functioning.
Oh,
Yeah. About 24 hours on the gun, and it decided to crap out, basically.
what's the warranty like?
Good. I had actually, and I'd like to talk about that. I don't want to shit on Hollow Sun's system too much because they've been pretty helpful, but I went through their website and filed a warranty claim, and I never heard back from them. So I called them, and they informed me that sometimes their website basically files things away as spam or doesn't.
Oh. So did you file another one? And
So I did, and they've been really helpful. And I'm sending it back in, and they're going to replace it. So
nice.
you know, I gotta say, I'm not thrilled about it, obviously, but their customer service has been good. So there's that. Obviously, I like the site, and assuming that I get a functioning one, it'll be good. But then I do have to note too, the finish on it really easy to scratch off.
Oh,
Yeah, thin finish.
okay.
At least on the base. I don't know about the actual site, but the mount is thin finish.
Okay.
So overall, like, I liked the site when it was functioning, and Hollow Sun's customer service seems to be good, but like any other, site of this price range, I guess you gotta be careful. The quality control that you get with like an EOTech or an Aimpoint isn't
Yeah.
there. And I think that's really what it is. I think, like, one for one, this site is probably not lower quality, but the quality control just isn't there, I would say.
Well, we'll see when we.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I get a new one, and we'll see.
Because you never know. If your next one's broken too, you might have some negative stuff to say.
Well, yeah. But right now, I like the site, and I'm kind of interested in giving them a second chance. But I thought I'd do an update since we talked about it a week or two ago. So
decent site, but seems to be an inconvenience so far.
Yeah, an inconvenience, I'd say. I think it sat on my vector for about 24 hours.
Did you even shoot it with it on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we sighted it in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it worked well. It was really easy to sight in. I felt like there was no weird shifts or anything. It mounted solidly. Otherwise, a nice sight. I liked the features, but yeah.
Well, on that gunshot, I think we're about ready to end the show.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no, we're not.
No.
You have something else you want to talk about?
No, I want to shoo some people away. Flat Earthers be gone.
So this isn't, I don't know if this is so much product news, but it's a product development.
Yeah.
Everyone should be at this point be familiar with Google Maps and Google Earth in general.
Does our audience know the difference between a globe and a map?
I would hope so.
I would hope so.
We'll have to explain that.
Do people on our audience think that the Earth looks like a map or that the Earth looks like a globe?
I would hope that most of our audience will have at least made it through middle school.
Maybe.
I don't actually know.
That on some episodes we could teach some younger people some things, but as of right now, we're leaning towards the college and later people.
Well, that doesn't mean they made it through middle school.
No.
Anyway, now that I've just alienated all our the Google Maps now officially depicts the Earth as a globe rather than the projection, the flat projection.
So I'm curious, because now it's a map, it's a globe given by a company and not a conspiracy of every single government on Earth. I wonder if the flat earthers are going to listen. So in case we leave the flat Earth stuff, which we haven't decided if we're cutting it out or not, our camera's getting my camera's getting hotter than we are. It shut off on us, but we just wanted to have a few closing remarks. I think we're going to leave it because we forgot to tell people to subscribe to our channel.
Oh yeah, subscribe to our channel. Check out our Instagram page, even though I've yet to post anything on there.
It's been 2 weeks.
I know, but what do I have to? What am I going to take selfies? Like mirrors, like
why not?
selfies, and post them?
You were hanging out here without a shirt on before.
Right, I could have done that. That's going to get our page taken down by Instagram. No one wants to see that.
But
I'll take some pictures later.
Please subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Hit the notification bell on YouTube. Leave comments.
Even if they're mean and hurtful. Like,
yeah, because we're manly here. We could take a few insults.
Yeah, and then next time you'll get to see us break down crying when we read them. So that'll be fun.
All right. And
on that revelation that the Earth is in fact round, our show's over. Get in here with me, Daddy.